It must be that time.
It's that time.
Rolling
Yeah.
right into it.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the NICA podcast. I'm Shawn Moore, and joining me as always is
Brian Russell.
sweet. You caught your cue and everything. Like
Yeah.
we're getting really good at this. I
Yeah. One of
do.
these days we're going to nail it. Yep.
It's gonna be so smooth. I
Yeah.
I do want to right at the top of this address that I understand that my mustache is starting to really tend towards a Wilford Brimley-esque kind of vibe. So I am available for any people who need a spokesperson for like reverse mortgages or anything like that. Just have contact me, and I'm more than happy to talk with you about that. But let's get into the purpose of what we're here for. And that is talking about what's been going on the past month in our NICA league. And that's been quite a bit. So, kind of to bring everybody up to speed, we're almost like you corrected me because I said we were halfway through, and you were like, nope. Saturday at Mayodan will be the official halfway point of the
When,
season of
when I put my
adventure.
head on my pillow Saturday night at Mayodan, yes, Shawn will be halfway through
Halfway
our
through.
7 events. Yes.
So the season of adventure, it's been an adventure, continues to be an adventure. And let's kind of, I guess, recap where we've been so far, because we've had several things happen since the last time we talked. And the first one of those was our Salisbury Scramble. So our second race of the season in Salisbury, North Carolina at Salisbury Community Park. Uh, there was a lot of stuff to do at the Salisbury Scramble. And I think one of the cool things that you've introduced with our league this season has been, and I'm trying to find the term that you used for it, but it's programs fusion, I think is what you call it.
That's exactly right. Programs fusion. Yep.
And so kind of your philosophy on that is really interesting. And that is that an event weekend is not just a race. It's got adventure, it's got opportunities for TTC, Team Trail Corps. It's got something for everybody. And I think that's been really amazing this season. It's really done some great stuff. And the cool thing at Salisbury was on Saturday, the Teen Trail Corps, they went out and they did work on a really short little loop, like making these berms super nice and buff, really awesome. And then Sunday, that was the warm up loop for the racers to warm up on prior to their race on Sunday. So that was awesome. Some other things that were really interesting that happened was we reversed the starts and the finishes so that it just had a better flow. Like I've never been to the Salisbury race, and the way it was set up just seemed so natural to do the race that way. Any thoughts on any of that?
Yeah, just to the point of programs fusion, it's just my belief we're building lifelong mountain bikers, and there's so much you can do on your mountain bike. It spans from racing to doing some trail work to just going on long rides, having fun on your bike. So we are trying to provide a little bit of something for everyone on any particular weekend. It depends on the venue. That's part of the reason we did trail work at Salisbury, unlike Cranking at the Creek, where we had another 12 miles of trail to work around with. Not a lot at Salisbury, so let's do some trail work opportunities. I think what I also like about that, Shawn, is that was 2 events in a row where some of our teams were actually out the week prior at the venue working on the race course, and then the kids get to come and race it. And that's pretty cool too. And that was Salisbury Scramble, good segue into Trail Week, where this league crushed it. 1,000 hour goal, beat it. 3,000 hour goal for the season. That week, we're over 3,000 hours. And so credit to Leonard Van Hoos and all the Team Trail Corps committee members and all the teams out there really putting in the work. We're seeing the hours come in. So kudos to all of you for really giving back to the community and giving back to the trails. It's really neat to
And
see.
and not just that, but uh our Teen Trail Corps sponsor, Cognitive MTB, and those super sweet gloves that like all of my student athletes, like once they kind of started getting some hours in, they were just like, I'm doing 10 hours of trail work so I can get some of those gloves. And we're even getting coaches who are trying to figure out how they can get a pair of gloves, and they're not available to anyone but student athletes who put in at least 10 hours of Teen Trail Corps work this season. So that's been, I think that's been phenomenal, not as an incentive, but as a reward. Like these kids are already, their incentive is doing the trail work, but that reward for, doing those hours, I think is really kind of incentivizing even more the work that they're doing. So crushed it in Teen Trail week, Teen Trail Corps week, crushed our hour goal for the year, and we're not even done. We're not even halfway through the season yet. So I think we're on for a 4,000 hour season. I
think we
feel
can get
really
there. Yep.
strongly about it.
Yep, absolutely.
So some of the other things that got introduced at Salisbury Scramble were live results. That our timing team has some track boxes out, so we're able to put up live results as the races are happening, and then the event recaps on YouTube. And that's something that I'm really excited about, like being able to sort of capture the vibe of the race and capture the vibe of the weekend and really let people see what it is that we do as a league, and all the magic that happens on a weekend.
It really helps, Shawn. I sent a copy of that video to Scott Ludwig at Salisbury Parks and Recreation today, as a matter of fact, and it's really beneficial when we finish an event. Send a thank you to that host. Here's the magic you helped us create with our student athletes, and I've even got a conversation with Parks and Recs in Rockingham County tomorrow, their tourism department, who they want to come in and film and sponsor the trails, and that's good work, that the league is doing just to, get those venues and invest in communities. So thanks for all the work putting those videos together. And we've got some creative athletes with some video cameras during the weekends. Tony Valencia's
Yes.
out there, and he's like recording every race. And we got Taylor Cam, Stanley Shredders, like just, sticking a microphone in my face at Salisbury. And, hey, Brian, what do you think's going on today? I'm like, I don't know. That's the staff.
And it's impossible for me to film everything, and they just provide some awesome footage that I'm just grabbing and putting in there liberally, because it's so great from their perspective, like all the things that are happening that they're doing. So that's been really awesome. But now's a good time for us to kind of talk about what it is we're trying to do with the YouTube channel, and why it's important for people to subscribe and like our videos. And it's because it helps us kind of spread the word. Like the more people we have following us, the more people that we have sort of liking and commenting the videos, the more those videos get served up to other people. So we really, really appreciate everybody that has already subscribed. And those of you that are watching this or watching any of our videos, like if you'll just hit that subscribe button, it doesn't cost you anything, but it will help us immensely in furthering our mission to get more kids on bikes in North Carolina, because it'll help spread the word of what we do. The next event that we did was the Danville Dash. We just got back from that, and I'm going to be honest with you, I'm still not recovered from it. Like I am still tired. This was
18,000 steps of walking or whatever. We were all comparing Fitbit notes throughout the weekend.
Yeah, I had 25,000, almost 26,000 on Sunday. That was 12 and a half miles of walking that I did on Sunday. That's I even got a little badge, and my Garmin was like, "Oh, this is the most you've ever put in one day." It's like, I don't want that badge. But this was a brand new venue for us, and one that's not even in North Carolina. It's just across the border in Virginia. But what an amazing course. The venue survey crew, like going out and finding that and putting that race course together was really, really awesome. It was so much fun to just do pre-ride on with the student athletes. So I think this was one of our best courses yet.
Yeah, so I think I could give a hat tip to Stephen Cole, who tipped me to Anglers Park like last year. We had some kids go up and do the USMTB series back in June. He goes, "Hey, you should probably go check it out." So, and I told this story all weekend, Shawn. So we might as well tell the whole league in our podcast. But so I drive up in August and I meet the Parks and Rec director in the parking lot, and I hadn't ridden a single trail yet, Shawn. Hadn't never been there, hadn't ridden a trail. He pulls up, it's Bill, great guy, Parks and Rec Danville. And we kind of stand shoulder to shoulder and look at that big 10-acre field. And I turn to Bill and go, "Bill, can I park cars on that?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I said, "We're coming." And that was it, Shawn. But then you're exactly right. The venue team went up, and let's give a shout out to Elise Freed and James Lee, brand new NICA certified lead course setters, who are doing a great job all season, setting up really, really good courses for our student athletes. And yeah, that was a good one. I agree.
And not just that, but it had so much trail that we were able to do a separate adventure course that was open on the weekend, and that was I helped kind of set that course up based on the mapping that you provided, and there was some really cool stuff on that course. It was very different, and it had a totally different vibe from the race course. Like it didn't even seem like it was kind of the same area of trails with some of it. So I really like it when we're able to put those adventure courses kind of side by side with a race course and have those two opportunities for our student athletes. One of
Yeah,
the
let's give a shout out to Anglers Ridge Trail Association. Put in a brand new bridge for us on the race course. Let us cut out of the woods where we needed to get in and out of the field. Super supportive, Anglers Ridge Trail Association. So supportive they ran the shuttle for us Saturday and Sunday for the overflow parking in case we needed that. So really good reception from Danville.
and they were on site there to help out if we needed anything done with the trail. If there was something that was an issue, like they were right there ready to get out there and address it. So yeah, big hat tip to those guys. They were awesome. One of the other things that we were able to introduce with Danville was the new KOM QOM segment. So the King of the Mountain, Queen of the Mountain segment that we didn't have prizes, but kind of bragging rights. So we were tracking like who put the fastest time in a certain climbing segment in each category and then posting those results. So that was, I think there was a lot of positive feedback on that. I heard a lot of coaches saying they really liked that.
Yeah, and I think we'll continue to do that for the remainder of the season. Based on connectivity, those track boxes have to get a cell signal out in the woods, so we get a good track on them. And those are part of the things we're doing Friday and Saturday before everyone shows up, confirming those things. But like you mentioned, live results. That has been interesting. You see a lot fewer people around the results board on the weekends when the results are out there. But to the point about the KOM and QM, those are still on there right now. You can go to the results on the website, click results for Danville, and all the KOM, QM segment. All that output is still there. Everyone in the category can see what time you got getting up the Little Pisgah climb, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's going to be great moving forward to do more of those KOM QOMs at all of our events. The event recap video is not ready yet, so there'll be a little bit of a wait. I think this is our third third or fourth Zoom call this week. So there's been a lot going on. But I think we'll be putting that together and that'll be out on our YouTube channel soon. And if you subscribe, you'll get a notification whenever that comes out. But that kind of brings us kind of to the end of what we've done and moving into what's coming up. And I can see you're changing your backdrop already. So go ahead. Let's see what it is we got coming up, Brian.
Another place just like Salisbury, we're coming back to Mayodan. So Mayhem and Mayodan, we've been there before. Another community treats us very, very well. Really likes having us in town. It will be a familiar venue to folks, so I don't think we need to spend a lot of time talking about Mayodan, other than maybe two key things. One, per your point about YouTube videos, the course preview is out. It is live on the YouTube channel, so people can take a look at what the course looks like for Mayodan. And to answer probably the big question on everyone's mind, we are running it counterclockwise for this event, just like we did last season. And then the other thing, kind of back to the Salisbury model, not a ton of extra trail at Mayodan to ride. So we're going to incorporate some trail work on Saturday. Leonard Van Hoos and the crew will take groups of student athletes out throughout the day on Saturday and give back to the trail system out there.
And the big reminder on that trail work opportunity is there's going to be 3 sessions and they do require pit zone registration. So whenever you're registering for the race, or if you've already registered for the race, go in and do the registration for the work session that you want to participate in. And that's free of charge. There's no charge for it, but you'll just need to be registered so that they can have tools and everything ready for all the participants that are going to be there. There's something that's kind of come up that I think we need to just give a reminder to our head coaches and ride leaders, and that's about our group riding, especially during pre-ride sessions under the red and yellow flag, and whenever we're riding on adventure courses. That realistically, the way it has to happen is that you stay in ratio. So 2 coaches, 8 student athletes, no more than that. So if you have 20 student athletes, you've got to divide into smaller groups. And those groups don't go out as one mass, they stagger, because you don't just shove everybody out on the trail, because it inevitably it ends up being sort of like a blockage. But more importantly is everyone stays together as a group. And I've noticed some separations where, like, all of a sudden there's a student athlete by themselves, and then behind them is a coach. And I'm like, or just a student athlete by themselves, or a coach by themselves. And we've had situations where a coach is, not feeling great, and they're like, just go ahead. And then they're having a legitimate issue. And the reminder that I need to give everybody is that if one person in the group has a issue, the whole group has that issue. The whole group has got to deal with that. So if someone is like, I can't do this. I had a coach come to me and they were like, I didn't know how to handle this. They had a student athlete on the adventure course at Danville, went up the first climb, said, I can't do this, turned around and rode off by themselves. And the coach was like, I didn't know what to do. Well, what you do is all of your group goes out and takes that student athlete back to where they're safe. And then you go back and you proceed with your ride. That's just the way it's got to be. Everyone always has to be functioning as a group so that there are adults to supervise and deal with any situation that needs to happen. So please don't separate your groups. Remember that under red flag and yellow flag, you are going out at a talking pace. You are not blistering it. It is not a race pace for coaches. You do not need to be trying to go fast enough for your student athletes. You need them to slow down. You need them to look around. So please keep your group together, maintain a decent talking pace, and everything will be fine in that red and yellow category. And then those student athletes can go out under green flag conditions and they can ride faster. They can take lines faster. You don't need to be a part of that. The other is just making sure that we always have supervision on those adventure courses. That's got to be something that is just ingrained and inherent in what we do. All right. That's enough of me. How about you, Brian?
Maybe just give folks a couple date reminders about Maydan before we move on. We're recording this Thursday night, so tomorrow, the 12th of April, category petitions are due. We do have 3 in the box. Right now, those are getting fewer and fewer as we go along in the season. Sunday night registration deadline for Mayodan, and then, like always, next Wednesday on 14 April, we'll host the town hall and 17 April, walk everyone through what to expect for Mayodan. Again, a familiar venue for most, but a few changes and maybe some new folks in the league they'll want to dial in to see what's coming up Mayodan.
All right. Let's kind of switch gears a little bit and revisit rules in the NICA handbook. There's a reminder that I think you would really like to give everyone to make sure that they all understand and are abiding by.
Well, I think like you and I discussed this weekend, it's anyone in this league, student athlete, a coach, even the parents that are signing up their student athlete, all agree when they sign that code of conduct, adult or student athlete, to abide by the rules in the NICA handbook, both main rules and the North Carolina rules. And just the way I view rules, and Kathy, my wife and I, Kathy, have the honor of teaching the values class to the Downey's Dirt Dogs at the beginning of every season. And the way I start with the rules discussion is say, those are the guide rails for our culture. We are respectful riders. We pay attention when we're on the trail. We want everyone to have a good ride. And the rules are just kind of our guide rails that keep us in line. But when you read through the handbook, beginning in chapter 1, it basically tells everyone these rules are applicable to you as a NICA athlete, to you as a NICA coach, and pretty much whenever you're doing anything on your mountain bike. It's like you're an ambassador of our community, an ambassador of our sport. And so sometimes we get in discussion, Shawn, you know this more than I do, like, well, that athlete wasn't on the course at the time, or that athlete was not in the pit zone, so does it really apply? Well, kind of, yeah, it applies. And that's the message we want to get across, is that, hey, this is applicable. And maybe it's just time to refresh on some of the rules. And trust me, Shawn, trust me, this is being discussed at the NICA level. It's big. There's a lot in there. I think yours truly, maybe even you this summer, will be involved in the NICA refresh of the handbook. Just make it easier to find stuff in there. That is a common criticism, which I believe is well founded. Rule what? It's buried, chapter 6 somewhere. So we do understand, are sympathetic to it. But again, rules are guide rails. And they all basically, when they boil down, Shawn, safety. That's my main job, is keep our athletes safe. And so, if someone's distracted, not paying attention to a course crossing and tape and has an earbud in, and they're not paying attention, and it elevates our risk profile.
100%. And that's something that, those two issues kind of cropping up, crossing tape, getting into the course when you shouldn't be, riding along beside the course. So there is a rule about that. You should not be riding along beside the course. Shouldn't be running along beside the course to coach or anything like that. So those are big. Earbuds. They're a massive issue. Just, I'm a school teacher. Earbuds are a big issue in high school, but they're even more of an issue when you're on your bike, because you can't hear. And that's one of the things that you actually rely on, is being able to hear if someone's coming up behind you, if someone's calling for you. All of those things are really important. And just want to touch base that the only time that student athletes can have earbuds or headphones on is also the only time that they can be on a bike without a helmet, and that is when they are on a stationary trainer, not rollers. So I had somebody ask this question. Rollers you can fall over and fall off of, but if you are fixed to a stationary trainer, you do not have to have your helmet on, and you can have your earbuds or headphones on. So that's the only time that it's allowable. And I see here you put this note, and I have been intrigued by this. And so I am eagerly anticipating the explanation of what the Swiss cheese model of human error is.
So I was thinking of opening a grocery store that specializes in Swiss cheese, Shawn. It's called Whole Foods. Anyway, so early dad joke in the podcast, but Swiss cheese model is something that came across in my military career, and we say a lot in the military that some of our lessons are written in blood, and what we mean by that is usually our standard operating procedures was based on some type of serious accident or incident. And in training, we don't want to lose the lives of a service member in training. And the investigating officer comes in, and he looks through the sequence of events that led to that incident, and he or she usually identifies what's called layers of defense, things that could have been done correctly that would have prevented that incident. And each of those layers of defense is a piece of Swiss cheese. And so you think about your piece of Swiss cheese as a layered defense. Every now and then, when you stack Swiss cheese on top of each other, the holes actually do align. And so in our conversation this weekend, what I thought about is, when the league staff sees something happen, it's gone all through the holes of the Swiss cheese. And so the peer didn't tell his friend, hey, you're not supposed to be riding with earbud in. The coach, seeing a student athlete at a practice or somewhere else, didn't say, hey, not supposed to be earbud in. Hey, head coach, not, and so by the time it gets to us, it's gone straight through the Swiss cheese. And that's the Swiss cheese model. So I guess it's a way of we're asking everyone to be the cheese. be the cheese. Or I grew up playing soccer, and I made the fateful mistake, Shawn, when our primary goalkeeper got injured, to raise my hand like, oh, volunteer. And I never left the goal. Like, I was goalkeeper all the time. And it's pretty disappointing. Goal, ball goes past you, and like, oh, I'm a failure. And my coach always told me, hey, that ball got past 10 other players before it got to you. So don't worry. So anyway, we're just asking people, be the soccer player, be the cheese. You see something, step in. We don't want to be the last piece of Swiss cheese. We really don't. But
No.
can just not say something because that's just reinforcing the behavior and people think it's acceptable.
And one of I get two common reactions whenever I am levying a penalty. And the first is, I didn't know that was a rule. But again, everybody has signed that agreement saying that they've read and understood and will abide by the rules that have been set forth in the NICA handbook. So not knowing the rule is kind of on you. It's not on us, and it's not a defense. The other is, well, can't you just give a warning for this? Well, if it's an orange level penalty or a red level penalty, the answer is no. Yellow level penalties, the first time that it's seen and addressed, it is a warning. But above that, it's escalating. And so that's why I think this Swiss cheese model, now that I understand it, is perfect. Like, don't let me be the one to see the earbuds, because then it's gotten past everybody else, and so then it's going to be a penalty, and I don't want to levy that penalty. So yeah, please help out with that. See
Yeah,
it,
I guess I've already got
it.
one of our new Stoke signs for next season. The ones you see on the way in the venue. It's nice to be nice. Be the cheese on the way in.
Nice. And so to that point, we need your help on an issue, and that is dogs. There's a lot of dogs that are starting to be brought to our races, and I bring my dog to the race most of the time. However, I don't bring my dog into the active pit zone or anything like that. My dog, I take him out in the morning when everything's kind of empty and calm, and then I take him back and he stays in the van, nice and comfortable, where he's nice and happy, because lots of dogs and lots of kids and lots of bikes and lots of noise, that makes dogs anxious. It puts them on edge. Even if they're relatively chill, they're still not quite happy. They're going to go along with you because you're their owner, and they're trying to please you, but at the same time, it kind of puts them on edge. And I actually had a head coach who's a veterinarian kind of talk to me about this at the race, and he was like, I don't bring my dogs to these things because it's just not a great environment for dogs. And so we need your help. And the first is that we need you to talk to everybody associated with your student athletes about how dogs must be 50 feet from any portion of the race course at all times. And they can only be on a non-retractable leash that is no longer than 6 feet. Those two things will go a long way to helping ensure the safety of our student athletes. And we need all of you to help us out. We're seeing kind of the same dogs, like different family members, but the same dog being kind of in too close to the course or right there at the start chute. Like, we really want this to become a part of the culture, that we just, dogs are staying away from the course because it ensures a safe environment for our student athletes on course. And all this was born out of an incident. Like you were saying, like something happened and we started looking at how do we address this, and this is how it's been addressed. So this is one of those times when this is a policy that is kind of, I wouldn't say written in blood, but it's born from an experience that we don't want to repeat. All right. So now let's move to something super exciting. Our first Western North Carolina venue. I see the backdrop has changed again. You're like the master of this. Like, I'm glad that we're finally on YouTube, because this was completely lost when we were just a podcast. So like, I think we're finally up to your level of presentation. The 5-string stampede in Fletcher, North Carolina. It's the 4th and 5th of May. Our westernmost venue ever. It's gonna be an experience, and I say that with a lot of different kind of connotations to it. But the theme is going to be Wild West. It's our western venue, so you picked that as being the theme.
Yeah, brilliant. Took a lot of brain cells to do Wild West on this one.
So we're going to be releasing a course preview video that we made, and this one's different. This one's got more information to it. One of the things that GoPro does is it makes everything look flat. Doesn't matter how steep up or steep down it is, it looks kind of flat. And thanks to a suggestion by Elise Freed, like I dug in and I think I've figured out a way to sort of truly represent the ups and downs of this course in a way that is really intuitive. So I'm pretty excited about this video. This was like a stretch for me. But this will be appearing on our YouTube channel tomorrow. We will get that published. And so I highly encourage everyone to take a look at that video. But essentially, this is going to be our course with the most climbing. Is that kind of a fair assessment for you?
Shawn, you know that the staff has been talking about this since we went out to do the last survey on 30 March. It is a very different course. And before I go there, let me just tell everyone I've been treading very lightly with this venue because it is private property. And I've actually got the one last check with the owner. And today, if he's comfortable posting the venue map on the website too, so people can see what I'm going to talk about when I hear about this venue. But you're right about the course. Not the ups and downs, but I'd call it the up and down to the course. And it is about 50 feet more of climbing than Danville. I went back and looked at the profiles today, over about the same distance when you're in the woods at Danville. And so the climbing is pretty similar. It's just you do it pretty much all at once at the beginning. You climb up the big hill, and everyone will chuckle probably when they hear yours truly, followed by you, Shawn, huffing and puffing at the very top of that hill because it'll get the heart rate up. That's for sure.
Well, to be fair to you, you took off really fast and you talked. So I could hear you talking the entire time because I pulled your audio for the video. So you were talking an inordinate amount of time as you were climbing at a very fast rate. So the huffing and puffing, I think, is well deserved. It's not a bad indicator of anything other than you were working really hard at the very beginning.
Yeah,
But
and I was trying to describe what I'm seeing out there because you're exactly right. The GoPro doesn't necessarily do it justice all the time, but for this trail, some of the goods about it's not super technical. It's built by Ed Sutton from Trail Dynamics. It's very well done. It's about single track and a half. Like when NICA tells us a passing opportunity about every half mile, like there's passing opportunities on this. It's good from that perspective. But a couple things that have us concerned. Yeah, it is a big climb, and there's some concern with the younger athletes that might not be ready for that big climb all at once. And so that's why we want to get this video out. We want coaches to look at it. We want kids to look at it. Like, hey, is that something I feel like I'm going to do? And then the downhill can get pretty quick coming down. And if you're tired, that elevates some risk. And then the big piece of it is the EMS access is, in fact, the course itself. There aren't a lot of ways to get in and out of the woods. So if we do have an incident, we're going to have to shut down, send EMS out, and it's probably a significant delay to the day if that happens. So I usually say at every race, Shawn, you know this, whenever you let me talk to the head coaches at the head coach meeting, put points on the board. Don't overextend yourself. Put points on the board. Have a good race. This is one of those venues you want to pay attention to those things. The second is the logistics of the venue. It's tight. You know, I did the parking calculation one more time based on anticipated registered numbers and number of cars and the acres you need. And we have 3 acres of parking out there, but one of the parking lots is a hill. You know, not all your cars are going to be able to get on that hill, and just the ability to turn around and team trailers. The discussion Monday night, if you remember, I'm not sure we can get team trailers in there very well. So we'll have to issue some specific guidance to folks coming in to be, you know, just expect to be patient, and maybe there's an overflow lot and shuttles in. But you got to ask yourself the question, why have we never had a Western venue? Because they're hard. It doesn't always align to everything you need in a venue, and so we're moving out on this one very slowly and cautiously, and we're still considering exactly how we're going to run this event amongst the staff to address some of those challenges.
so definitely a new experience, but one that's going to require everyone to kind of be patient and be understanding that we are really working hard to make this work for us. But I think course wise, there were things I really liked about the course, and one of them is that it is very wide open pass wise. Like the passing opportunities are just pretty much almost anywhere. Like there's a few corners where you wouldn't want to be passing or anything like that, but just about everywhere is a decent passing area. So that just should not be an issue. But it will require, good communication. I had a really interesting experience. I got a POV video from one of my student athletes from Danville, and I got to see student athletes communicating with each other about passing, and it was fantastic. Like great communication. They were moving right past each other. It was perfect. So I think if we can keep that up, we're doing great, and this venue will be very successful.
And one last point about this venue, since it's our last regular season event, we'll recognize our seniors at this event. So Saturday night we'll have a get together gathering, a night ride. Every senior will get a poster. We collected all the photos this week, and they're off to Trek. Thank you very much, Trek, for printing those posters. That'll be on the snow fencing Sunday morning, and kids and parents can take those with them. And then Shell pushed out today, as a matter of fact, Shawn, asking all those parents of seniors to indicate who you want to accompany that student athlete during call-ups, like we did last season. So, so-and-so accompanied by mom and dad, so-and-so, just like a lot of seniors do in their high school athletic programs. We'll do a senior night and a senior recognition at Fletcher.
Yeah, that was a huge success last season. So I think that'll be great. Let's also talk about some of the other upcoming events that we've got. So the season showdown, this is going to be our championship event that's going to be back in Mayodan on May 18th and 19th. And there's some qualifying criteria. You want to kind of outline that qualifying criteria for us?
Yeah, I absolutely will. I'll take one step back. Here comes Shawn's eye roll. Yes, Russell stepping back one more time to set some context. I want to tell everyone what led us to this approach for this season. And with a lot of things, we're trying out some new things, and we look forward to everyone's feedback. And I'm already getting some feedback on this one, to be quite honest. But last season, when I became league director, there was a plan to do an end of season qualifying state championship. It would be the last event of the season. And because it was a qualifier, it didn't sit well with me that we ended the season not inviting everyone in the league, not inviting every student athlete. So I changed it. And our season showdown last season, if everyone remembers who was here, everyone went and we just gave some more points. But it didn't have that feel of like, okay, this is really the champion in each category, and like a one winner takes all type of race. It's on the line for the one race. So I couldn't find a venue where I could do both, kind of a ride together race, championship race at the end of the season. That's a whole venue discussion we don't want to have per se. So the compromise this season was to do the sixth event as the qualifying state championship and then finish the season together with everyone at the Whitewater Center, 1 and 2 June. And just while I'm on that real quick, I'm headed out Saturday with you, Shawn, and I think Golden's coming down and other members to kind of dial in the Whitewater windup and what that format is. I know people have been waiting, Fletcher new, been piecing together, championship new, piecing it together, Whitewater new, and we're at the end of the season of a lot of new, and I'm behind the power curve. I'm communicating what's going on. I apologize for that, but we're just trying to get good information out to you. But anyway, back to the qualifying championship. Yes, top 30 in each category will be invited to the championship. Or if you place in the top 20 of any two races, you are invited to the championship. And that last criteria counts for those athletes that can't get to every single race. The way the point scheme works in the league, Shawn, you're aware. If you come to every race, you do very well in season point totals. You get up there. If you miss a few, we do drop the lowest race, but if you miss a few, you may, and you're still a real competitive athlete, you may not have that chance. So we gave the option for two, and that will set the criteria. That said, I literally just sent today, Shawn, to Todd Lester, our race director, and Stephen Cole, the head of our race committee, the championship weekend format with some decisions to make about what about the other student athletes? Are there some things for them to do that weekend? Maybe on Saturday, just join the pre-ride or some other activity. So it can be a little more inclusive. But yes, the race on Sunday is going to be a qualifying race. And there's some advantages to that. Smaller fields, we can probably spread them out. So we have, wave one is 150 athletes on the course at one time. With all those, we can spread folks out, probably a more enjoyable race for smaller fields. The team does a great job of trying to manage intercategory passing and interfield passing on here, but with a lot of kids, you can't avoid it all the time. We can probably avoid a lot of that at the championships and just make it a more enjoyable and competitive race.
Yeah, I think that's going to be coming soon, that we'll have more of that guidance of what's going to happen. And I think, once we've got a real concrete plan, I think everyone will sort of understand. But like you said, feedback is important, because next season is a whole new season, and adjustments and changes and things like that to make it even better is always what we're looking for. And then we've got the Whitewater Center. So the Whitewater Wind Up, that'll be the 1st and 2nd of June. And that's, boom, the last event of our season. And we're, like you said, going tomorrow or Saturday. I'm losing my days of the week already. We're going Saturday to sort of look at that and finalize our plans, or at least get a better sense of what it is that we're going to be doing. And it's looking like we'll have like riding and games on Saturday. Orienteering is one thing. I'm working on something else. I'm really not don't want to get too excited about, but I'm very excited about it.
I
And
won't
then
let it slip. I think it's gonna be cool if you can pull it off.
yeah, I think so. I've got it working. So and then Sunday morning we'll do season awards. We'll have fundraiser prizes in the early afternoon, and we'll just, kind of have a big kind of goodbye, and everybody will kind of go home and start thinking about next season.
Yeah, the idea was, I think, just a little less stress for everybody to finish the season. Head coaches less stress about getting kids to the staging area on time and just go ride. Staff a little less stress, and just for everyone's planning factor, I think you laid out kind of the broad brush of activities, awards, and those kind of fundraiser giveaways early afternoon Sunday. So you can get on the road, get back home in a decent hour Sunday, or hang out and ride if you want. The Whitewater Center, it'll stay open. But yeah, we just wanted to not jam all of the season awards in after the last race, and we're there till 6 o'clock, 6:30. Let's take our time and really recognize the excellence from our student athletes and our teams for the entire season.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be a great way to end the season. I know that this is the time that we normally do like our goodbyes and dad jokes, and you've already snuck a dad joke in already, so I'm sure you've got a real doozy lined up. But um before we get to the jokes, I was thinking today. So I've may have mentioned it before, but I've talked about it. Like, I've got a electric commuter bike that I've been riding back and forth to work, and it's just such a blast. I love it. And it struck me today when I was riding back from work, and I thought about it, and I was like, well, I ride to work in the morning and then I ride home in the afternoon. Is that recycling?
Of course it is. And you're segueing into so many of the comments we got on a social media post today about us recycling course tape. Thank you, Haley Cosma, for bringing that idea to the table. And literally, so Haley brought this idea forward, and she works at the recycling center in Charlotte. Like, she drags that course tape back home with her to make sure it gets recycled. So great job, Haley. That's fantastic. Nice
Awesome.
way to work the recycling in, Shawn. I was gonna go with another Swiss cheese joke, but it just had too many holes in it.
Oh, you never fail to disappoint.
This is fun.
All right. Well, to both of you that are still listening at this point, we really
So Bill
appreciate
Stevens always
it.
comments on our dad jokes, so that's at least one.
And to the other person that is stuck with us,
It might be Esther, like in the car stuck with him.
yeah, Bill and Esther. Thank you so much for listening. And as always, Just have fun. It's nice to be nice, and by
Be the
all
chief.
means, get out there and ride your bike.
All right. Thanks, Sean. We'll see you Saturday.
See ya.